It's the July 4th sale at Bray & Scarf, going on now with huge savings throughout the store. Save up to 40% on GE Profile and Cafe appliances. Or step up to luxury with free installation on select Monogram appliances. Special financing is available. Shop local and save this July 4th at Bray & Scarf. Visit any of our convenient locations or go to brayandscarf.com, where it doesn't cost more to get more.
Welcome to another edition of the podcast. In this episode, we're talking about your relationship standards as spiritual hygiene. This is a big part of the work that I do with my clients around developing their core sacred needs and understanding what that actually means, and understanding their emotional, psychological, physical, and material requirements unapologetically within their relationship. When women start doing this work who have been married for a long time and experiencing toxic cycles, very little bare minimum, no consistency, the emotional, mental manipulation, and stonewalling and silent treatment, and you're trying to connect with your partner, you're trying to have discussions to resolve things and get close and hopefully improve things, because what you truly do want is emotional connection. When you start doing the work around owning that and not looking at it like my standards must be too high, they're actually just finally online when you start doing this work. But the problem is that you're with someone who isn't willing to meet these standards. So what you've had to do is shrink yourself in order to be able to stay in this dynamic. When you start getting out of the emotional addiction and out of the codependency and out of the people pleasing and the self-abandonment patterns, and you start to heal the anxious attachment side of you that feels like if you lose them, you will die, or you're going to lose yourself if you lose them. When you start healing the root of those issues at the root cause, then you start to see, maybe what I want isn't so out of reach. One of the things that we as women do is we settle for way too little. And then what happens is we're in these things eyeballs deep with kids and a house and pets and all the things. And it doesn't feel so easy to just say, walk away like an Instagram meme. And the reason why is because of the emotional entanglements that are present in these relationships that are not present in non-traumatic relationships. Non-traumatic relationships, there is the ability to separate, co-parent with respect, and there's no emotional trauma going on. I mean, divorce is traumatic regardless, but there's none of the emotional addictive patterns where you keep going to push, pull back and forth. And so when we look at our new relationship needs and standards, which I teach in my coaching, which is around your deal breakers and your ultimatums, your new standards mean you are not going to put up with or accept anything less than this new standard. And when you really own that, and you own it as, that's fine if they can't meet this, I'm not going to lower my standards any longer to be able to fit into this little container. You've had to shrink and silence yourself and minimize your needs for far too long. It is okay to see this as a process, because it is. It's an evolution. It's an evolution of, what I actually need is this, and to own it and not gaslight yourself out of that. Like they have been gaslighting you out of it, that you're too much, that you ask for too much, that your needs are unreasonable, that, you need too much. It's either you're too much or you're not enough. You have to own this within yourself, because it's not about them. It is not about them. this work is fully for you, because whatever it is you're tolerating and putting up with is a mirror for what's going on inside of you 100% of the time. Why is it that some people don't end up in these dynamics or these kinds of relationships? They're very common, unfortunately. It's less common these days to hear about a couple that's been together and they're happily together, into their senior years, because the divorce rate is, 50%? Because we pay more attention to, the kind of house we're going to buy, or the perfect wedding venue and the menu and the reception and the dress and all the shit that doesn't matter. We pay more attention to that than really trying to figure out, is this person for me? And when we're in our 20s, which is typically when many of us get married and then you start to have kids, you don't fully know yourself. And a lot of women that end up in these relationships, they're smart, they're successful, they're savvy, they're like talented, amazing, beautiful women with beautiful souls. And they're with these men that are messing up their hormones, messing with their mind, messing with their peace, creating chaos in the home for children so the children can't even grow up in peace because their dad is fucking with their mother so much that the mother feels like she's losing her goddamn mind. And there's so much stress and there's so much turmoil and tension in the home that these kids grow up walking on eggshells, and then they have repercussions later on in life as they get older. And we now that we have all the information that we have out there, it's everywhere about these relationships, you're not missing the red flags. You're not missing the toxic patterns. You know what they are. What's missing is that you are emotionally addicted to the pattern, and it will destroy you. It will fully destroy you until you accept that this is what's at the root and this is what needs to be healed, and it doesn't have to take a long time. What you've been doing has been taking a long time because you haven't been dealing with the root cause of it, which is that emotional piece, the emotional entanglement in this dynamic. It's the reason why you can see everything crashing down all around you and see how messed up it is. But yet then you say, oh, well, maybe it'll get better. Oh, I guess I just have to put up with this. And then you go off to work, you drop the kids off to school, and you do another day. And you can do that for the rest of your life. It is fully your choice. But if you want to actually change these patterns and live a different experience, you have a different vision for the life that you want to create for your future and for the legacy you want to leave behind for your children, then I invite you to apply to work with me privately inside of my 6-month private mentorship. This is what I am so passionate about, is doing this deep work with women. And I haven't been taking on one-on-one clients for quite some time in a very serious way. It's been a while because I have been behind the scenes doing my own work. I am very much about integrity and being able to deliver a result based on the work I've done. So for me, I've been in this healing incubator for 3 years now, specifically to work through the aftermath of all of this and to all the work that I am teaching you and the things that I talk about on the She's Moving On podcast, The Other Side of Leaving. If you haven't checked that one out, it's on Spotify and iTunes. So I talk more about the other side and the healing that goes on there. And I've done interviews with women I've worked with who have also come out the other side. So a very, very powerful series of interviews that I have on that podcast. But while I was doing my own healing and things were being rearranged in my own life, in my own business, and getting really, really sick and having to basically let the business sit there, and I had to just take care of myself, and then coming back into it, a new version of me that has evolved beyond all of that. And that's what I want for all of you, is to the point where that stuff would be so repulsive to me now. There wouldn't be any part of me that would be settling for trying to have a conversation with a grown man and it turns into a blow up emotional freak out, or gaslighting. You're too sensitive. You're too much. Oh my God, this again. can't you ever be happy? See ya. That would be done. No more of the breadcrumbs and the inconsistency and the zero effort. No, thank you. All the things that you are tolerating right now, what you want to do is evolve into the type of woman from the inside that would be repulsed by that kind of behavior. Repulsed by you text them and you don't hear from them for 6 hours. Aside from the odd time where it could happen in circumstances beyond their control, most people have their phones in their pockets or their smartwatches on their wrists buzzing. Most people are, I don't have that. I've turned that all off on my watch. I don't want to be accessible to every notification. That's me. But a lot of people they have their phone on them all the time. There's no excuse. And so this really is just a call to encourage you and to call you into raising your standards in all areas of your life, with your work, with types of clients, with your wage, with what you're charging, the type of business, your rates and the income that you are now having that you want to change. Raise your standards. Raise your standards around who you surround yourself with. It is much better to be surrounded by a community online of people that are going after shit than to be in a circle around you in person of people that are not. And they are kind of keeping you small, making you think small, making you think, oh, maybe, you're going for too much. Or they're in their own lives just struggling with the bare minimum. And so we become the 5 people we spend the most time with. You've heard that before. There's so much truth in that. So you have to be really mindful, because other people's mindsets and beliefs and their own limitations can become yours, and it will poison you. You will think you're not capable of anything beyond what you have unless you flock toward other mindsets and people who are doing more and going after more. For me, when I had to go from making like $20K a year, some years as a therapist and working part-time, because you don't make a ton of money in therapy working part-time if you're doing one-on-ones and all that. There can be a lot of money in it, but you've got to work a lot of hours every day, and I could not do that because I had little kids, and so I kind of did it part-time. But, even when I started my first online part of my business, I was not making very good money at first. And then I joined 2 different mentorship programs at like 3, 4, no, these were like 5K each Canadian. One for my business, one for my personal transformation. That year that I went all in on that, my business blew up to 6 figures. I couldn't believe it. I did not think that was possible for me. Of course, I wanted that, but it happened so quickly. But it was because I was in the room with other big thinkers and I was expanding into new ideas. People around me were like, how do you make money doing that? Like, how do you think you're going to make money doing that? Nobody else around me was going for that. And that's not to speak negatively of other people. It's just that you can't expect to grow beyond who you're around and who's like, it's better to not share where you're going, your new needs, your new standards, your goals. It's better to not share at all if you're sharing with people who are just going to, convince you into smaller thinking. It's the worst. It's poison. I've been there. Even if it's people around you that's close to you, it's better just to work in silence. Get mentorship from those that are going to say, no, go for it, do it. This is what you need to do. This is what I see you doing. Here's what I think you should do here. This is what I'm seeing for you. Yes, go bigger, go bigger. You're thinking too small. My God, I craved that. I craved it, and I invested in it, and it was an online community. And that was my, for 12 weeks of the program, that was my world. It was going all in on everything that the coach was teaching. Same thing with my business. I went all in and did everything that mentor was teaching to get to repeat 6-figure years. And so I share this because I've been on my own growth journey and I got knocked down big time. And I'm here to help women who feel that way, but you're ready to rise. You're ready to have your come back to self, come back to truth, come back to what it is that you need, your sacred needs, your new standards, your spiritual growth, your connection to yourself and your connection to your children. Thinking about what's the legacy you want to leave behind for them. Do you want to, because the thing is, when we're gone, we're gone. So in my mind, all that I really am doing right now is, and this might sound negative because in the spiritual community, it's like, oh, live your best life and, you'll come back something else. Like, I don't know about that. Nobody knows about that. What I do know is I'm leaving behind a legacy for my children. And when you've experienced parents who leave zero legacy, maybe just trauma, not much else, that can be your why. Is my kids are my why, because all that's going to be left of me is the memory that those around me have of me when I'm gone, which is likely going to be just my children at some point. And hopefully my grandchildren. But, that's how my mind is thinking. So everything that I'm doing, I'm thinking, okay, what am I leaving behind for them? What am I showing them about what it's like to hit rock bottom and go through the most challenging times and come back from that and not give up? You take a break, you regroup, but you don't give up on your goals and your vision and your dreams. And so if you have children, maybe that's something that speaks to you as well, because we do need a vision. We need a purpose. And for me, my biggest purpose has been my children since becoming a mom at 19. That's where I cleaned up my life. I took it very seriously when I was pregnant, and I was very excited to have this baby. He's now not a baby, he's 29. But I was at a very young age, very wise and very mature. And even though I was in a bad situation, I did everything I could to protect this baby, and that became my whole purpose. And then I had 2 more daughters, and again, very, very focused on that. That was my whole being, it seemed, when they were younger. And it still is, but they're older, and so it's on a different level. So now I'm thinking more along the lines of, what am I going to leave behind for them when I'm not here? So what is your vision? What is it that you want to move toward? Setting new standards means standards for your life, not just with men. We've got to stop with this whole centering of men. They're the center of my universe. I will die without them. How ridiculous is that? You're not going to. You're not. The stress will kill you faster than trying to live without them. So if you've got to go through a couple of rocky years, maybe less if you have someone like me in your corner mentoring you through to see ahead of things. But if you've got to go through a year of finding your feet and finding your groove and reestablishing or reinventing, that is much better than going another 6 months or a year in this and delaying the process. So the message here is that your standards aren't too high. It's that they're finally online when you start to think about it in terms of, am I asking for too much, wanting a partner that I can share with? Am I asking too much by saying that I want someone I can go to and tell them what I need to say, and that it doesn't blow up and that there can just be a calm conversation? And then also, what do you want your solitude to look like? For me, that's a really big part of my life right now, is I'm really just basking in more solitude that I actually have had for the first time in my adult life, where I'm getting full days, sometimes several days in a row, of just me. And I love it. I miss my girls when they're not here. I miss my son. He lives away. But I'm actually thriving in the alone time. And then I'm happy when they come back and I love it. But then there's a part of me too that's like, I love this space and alone time, and it's okay for me to say that. Some others, I know for me, I've always felt guilty saying, oh, I just love my alone time. Like, I love you so much, but I do love my alone time. I miss you so much, yes. But I do love it. And there was a time when maybe that wouldn't have been the case. I remember shortly after my ex and I split and my daughters were going with him for a short period of time. They went with him sometimes. And I do remember having moments of panic setting in when they were gone. And I was like, what is this about? What is going on here? It was like this panicked, unsettled feeling after the first day because I was not used to it. But that's what I had to look at and go, interesting. What's going on there? Of this feeling of just this loneliness when they're not here. And I've had to work through that. So I kind of went off on a different side note here, but really the message here is your standards. It's time to look at what you're tolerating right now. And what do you need to do to raise your expectations around what you're going to tolerate from this relationship, from future relationships, from friendships, from family, in your work, with your body and your wellness. Are you putting the effort in with all of that? And if you want to find a different way and you want powerful mentorship, I invite you to click the link in this episode and apply to work with me over the next 6 months in my private mentorship. I have limited spots each month, and so when they're gone, they're gone. And this month I'm taking on 5 new, brilliant, badass, high-powered women who are successful in their careers or business. You're making the 6 figures or more, and you're successful in what you do, but your love life is a disaster, and you're ready to put an end to this and figure out what you're doing once and for all. Your issue is not being successful in your career profession. It is relationships. And this is what I help women do. Come back to self, come back into relationship with self so that you never self-abandon ever, ever again. So click the link in the show notes to apply for a spot. All right, I'll chat with you in the next edition. Bye for now.